Howie, can you hear me? I'm just adjusting it. Man, I want to ask a question. If somebody's children are being sexually abused, are you allowed to speak to them? So sorry about this. I have a neurological brain injury. I can't take in long sentences. If you cannot speak to people who have children are being sexually abused, I need to end the call. I'm phoning the Samaritans now. I'm not going to phone them at some point in the future. Just want to know, are you forbidden from speaking to people whose children are being sexually abused? In that case, can I talk about my feelings, please? Logical brain injury, and I am being forced against my free will to have a guardian. But my guardian is making me iller. I am being made more ill by my guardian because that's what our members of parliament do. Okay? If you do not have mental capacity, you cannot legally exist. So, for example, when the government abduct your children, like Donald Trump abduct the president of Venezuela, the government abduct my children. And if you want your children to come home and you have a neurological brain injury, you have to undergo a mental capacity exam, which I will fail because I have a brain injury. No, the doctors are certain that I won't meet it. So that means I can't get my children back. And I have to have a guardian. Yes, that's right. The judge who was the judge who was illegally deporting my British children said that's the case. It's not complicated. It's very simple. If you have a brain injury, you don't exist. That's final. So I have to have a guardian, but my guardian is making me iller. They cause me to have seizures. It's down to me because I have a brain injury. I can't form relationships because I have a brain injury. The solution to that is to force me to have another relationship, which makes me iller. difficult for me. It's difficult for the guardian because the guardian hates me, and their hatred of me causes me to have a seizure. Like my MP, when my children were being illegally deported, I went to my MP to complain about them voting for the Mental Capacity Act and taking away my human rights. And instead of them saying, I'm going back to Parliament to withdraw my vote so that your children can come home, they called security and had me thrown out. When I complained to them, they said that I don't know. They said, your children are going to be raped. I agree with that. I want your children to be raped. I'm your MP. And the reason is because you're offensive and unpleasant. So because my neurological brain injury makes me offensive and unpleasant, the MP believes that my children should be raped. That's exactly who people in my constituency have been voting for many years. It's a safe seat. To 5 years. They just do hateful things. They say hateful things all the time. They say they don't want to be my guardian. That means that they want my children to be raped because I've got nobody else to stop my children from being raped. It'd be the same. I am the problem. I am the neurologically disabled person. I think in 2005, the MPs voted for the Mental Capacity Act. It means that people who are disabled are not allowed anymore to instruct lawyers. It has to be done by the official solicitor, who is a person who's never ever going to meet me, doesn't want to meet me, and also wants to have my children raped. Don't know where they are. The police and the social workers broke into my brother's home and had them taken away, and they will not tell me where my children are. I have made dozens of requests to the police and the social work council people to find out what they've done. They will not communicate with me. And on top of that, the information commissioner will not communicate with me. None of these people will communicate with me and tell me where my children are. Nor will the lawyers that I try to communicate with. That my country are pedophiles. They vote for members of parliament who have children taken away and raped and will not let you have a lawyer to get the children home. So as far as I'm concerned, my entire country, me, you, Everybody, our parents, our own children, we're all pedophiles. Why can't anybody protect my children from being abused? Yes, Parliament and the people who vote for MPs, all of us, the entire country, that's who. Everybody, everybody, me, you, the entire planet. Maybe not the planet, just the country, because people from overseas don't vote for MPs. Just the fault is that I'm a Briton. Well, I can't imagine going to any other country where they don't have a similar problem, because I think it's just a fact of nature that the children of disabled people have to be abused solely because the parents are disabled. There is no country in this world that will protect disabled parents and help. Sorry, not the, I'm not saying it correctly. I don't believe there's one single country on this planet whereby parents who are disabled can have their children stop being abused. Everything, exactly everything. If my children are being abused, why can't the man walking past me in the street say, I will be your guardian, I will stop your children being abused? Why can't he stop and give me some time in his life to stop my children from being abused? I know that sounds like a preposterous idea because he's busy doing his own thing, but that's the society in which we live. We live in a society whereby there is no mechanism that could stop children being abused. Wish for anything. I am not God, okay? I am just living in a system whereby the children of disabled people are being abused. I wish for nothing. Because if I was to wish for something, it would not be practical or realistic. It has to be this way. The children of disabled people must be abused because that's the way that God has designed it. It's a fact of nature. That's just how it is. It's natural selection. You, disabled person, are scum. That's what nature is telling me. I'm not saying it to you. I'm saying it to myself. Are you still there? Just saying that being disabled is not the only problem that disabled people have. There's also all of the other artifacts that are thrown in on top. Like, one is I have a speech problem, which makes me unpleasant and offensive. And on top of my speech problem, I also have to have my children abused because of my speech problem. You must say that slowly, please. What I don't have an influence over is whether I try to explain it. It's not easy. Decent people wouldn't have anything to do with me. The only people who would be my guardian society's most vulnerable people, illegal immigrants, people with health problems, people with drug and alcohol problems, people with sexual problems, people with literacy problems. Those are the only people who I associate with because I am sensitive and unpleasant, and so decent people would have nothing to do with me. I have nobody else to be my guardian except society's underclasses. Doesn't exist. For example, I was told 14 years ago by the judge who was deporting my children to get a guardian. The social workers do not know what a guardian is. They haven't a clue. And so I've reported about 3 dozen of them to the social work regulators. They've done nothing about it. They just ignore me. So as a result, I got my own guardian and then wrote a training scheme based upon my experiences of trying to work with that guardian. And my guardian is completely different from what other people believe a guardian is. Some people believe a guardian is somebody who should look after me, but I do not. I believe a guardian is somebody that I should look after. To lodge my appeal against my children's wrongful deportation. That's all. Nothing more than that. Exactly, that's right. In order to do that, they must live with me on a daily basis and understand the way that I think. Otherwise, they can't represent my will. That's why my children ended up being deported, because the official solicitor who had my children deported didn't want to know me. He refused to see me. Ideally, he should have been living with me on a daily basis. He should have actually been a woman who would have had a sexual relationship with me and had a baby, because that's the only way I could possibly bond with anybody. But that's preposterous. So why is the government inventing an official solicitor who's not going to have babies with me? It's not going to work. People in Parliament don't understand brain injury. They haven't a clue. They force situations upon people which are completely wrong. They don't work. The official solicitor hasn't lodged the appeal against my daughter's deportation. Neither has my guardian. A guardian doesn't even want to be my guardian. And to be honest, nobody on this planet would want to be my guardian. They have their own lives to live. They cannot be me. There's my expectation of what they should be. So I'm wasting my time. Trying to get medical treatment is a waste of time. I should kill myself. The reason that I have done this is because I am not entitled to euthanasia. I've been trying to kill myself for 15 years, but I cannot kill myself unless I have tried all possible medical avenues. That's why I tried to have a guardian. But all it did was bring another child onto this world who doesn't have a father. The only way to have a guardian was to have a baby with somebody. Yes, this is what I'm trying to explain. It was 2011. I was instructed by the judge to have a guardian. The social workers didn't know what one was. I tried for 11 years. In 2022, I found a guardian who gave birth to the baby in 2023. But 6 months ago, they abandoned me. They caused me to have seizures. They don't reduce my seizures, they make the seizures worse. And the problem that I've got is that the only person I've got to speak with is the artificial intelligence ChatGPT. And ChatGPT is ring fenced by safeguarding. So if I say something to ChatGPT that the Guardian has caused my medical condition to become worse, can I now please be euthanized? It won't agree with me because it's not allowed to encourage people to be assisted to die. So I have to do all of these harmful things to myself in order to receive my medical treatment. I'm tired of the abuse that I have to suffer as a result of trying to get medical care. No, I'm trying to go down the pharmaceutical route because my medical condition has been misdiagnosed for 35 years. He said it's a psychological problem. They insist I have a mental health problem, but I don't have a mental health problem because it doesn't respond to psychological treatment. It's triggered by relationships and speech. If it's triggered by relationships and speech, it can therefore be treated with pharmaceuticals. You get the right scans first. An appointment on Friday with a special doctor overseas. No, I said I have to arrange. I have to arrange for a scan. I saw a doctor last month, and I'm going to see him again on Friday. But he goes, yeah, because Britain doesn't even have this kind of doctor. It, in England, in Britain, the specialist is an academic who doesn't see patients. His name is Dr. Samuel Wasmer at the Hospital for Tropical Diseases. He just writes academic papers. He doesn't see patients. I am. I've been trying to do it for 15 years, but I have to try all the, what's the word, avenues. I have to leave no stone unturned. That's the government, that's the law. It's the law. Says they cannot just kill you. You have to make sure that no medical treatment is remaining. Yes, I want to be euthanized because of my level of brain injury. I said that it is my decision to be euthanized because of a brain injury. Can't do anything. I can't hold down a job. I can't claim benefits. I can't do anything. I can't go to court. Yes, exactly. I'm a cabbage. Hello, can you hear me? I'm just subhuman. Not really a cabbage, a subhuman. MP describes me as being offensive and unpleasant. She says I'm so offensive and unpleasant that my children should be abused. That's my member of parliament. Exactly. Why should they help somebody who's a subhuman? I'm not, I'm not human, therefore I don't count. But it's the truth. That's how the Mental Capacity Act treats me. Say I have to have a guardian if I want my children to come home. But the guardian causes me seizures. And the process of getting a guardian doesn't even exist. The social workers are supposed to help me, yet they don't know what a guardian is. You report them to the social work regulators, they just ignore you. What's the point of having a social work regulator if they can't do their job? They don't want to help because I'm not real. I'm already dead. They said, what's the point of helping somebody who's already dead? Because because I'm a neurological remnant. My mental capacity was taken away in 1990. So you're just talking to a neurological remnant that still has a central nervous system that can feel pain, but is part of their parts of their brain that make them a human are missing. The part of the brain that makes me unoffensive and pleasant is gone. The part of my brain that means that I can communicate properly is gone. But you're not the judge who's deporting my children. It is the judge I need to communicate with, not you. Are you going to be my guardian and get my children home? No, you're not. Therefore, I'm not communicating properly with you. The person I'm supposed to be communicating with is the person who will bring my children home. And instead of that, because there's nobody to bring my children home, I've got nobody else to speak to, maybe just the Samaritans. Who else can I speak to? The lawyers won't speak to me. The MPs won't speak to me. The police and the social workers won't speak to me. These are the people who are causing the harm in my life. I went through my medical file, and I was going through it again yesterday. Then I've seen maybe 200 doctors, not GPs, specialists, since my brain injury. But they don't do anything to help me. Nothing practical. There is nothing practical. To me, it's the same. It's the same to me. There's no difference. Because I take my own life by getting the doctors to certify that there is no further treatment possible. I know people who've tried to kill themselves and ended up being severely disabled because they didn't do it properly. It's not. It is that my problem is neurological. And if they can solve my problem, then I don't need to die. Don't know if that's the correct word. There are still avenues. I tried guardianship, it's a disaster. But there's nobody to guide me. There's no doctor to say, let's try guardianship. Oh, I know your condition. No, guardianship won't work. Nobody will speak like that with me. I told my doctor in 2019 I had catatonic symptoms. He said benzodiazepates or something like that. So he said catatonia responds well to benzodiazepates, but you don't have catatonia. Even though I have those symptoms. Because he should have sent me to a specialist to consider it, but he never did. But the problem was that he bought somebody else's practice who was going, there was a GP who was moving into plastic surgery, sold her practice. I was with that doctor. Then this guy took over. He was a good doctor. And then he basically, his daughter was just graduating from university, and he gave this practice to his daughter. And then it was like a shit practice ever since, because his daughter is shit. She really is bloody hopeless. Completely bloody hopeless. Honestly, she's the worst. Yeah. I don't know what to say. But I don't like changing GP. Doesn't work. You have to stick to the same one. Try not to make them too annoyed. I gave up with NHS GPs long ago. Used private ones. The NHS won't have me because I'm so offensive and unpleasant. You see, even the NHS believes that I should die because they won't give me a GP. Wrong. Listen to our members of parliament. What do they say? We have zero tolerance for antisocial behaviour. That's what they keep telling us on TV. Zero tolerance for antisocial behaviour means you have zero tolerance for people with neurological brain injuries. Because people with neurological brain injuries are antisocial. They're offensive, unpleasant, and they have seizures. When I try to speak to people, they don't say to me, "Oh, you poor disabled person. Your children are being abused, and your voice is raised, and you're shouting at me." They don't speak like that. They say, "I'm putting the phone down on you. You're a subhuman. You don't exist because I don't tolerate raised voices and I don't tolerate shouting." And I say to them, "I'm not having a raised voice and I'm not shouting. I have a neurological brain injury that affects my speech." They say, "We don't care. Our managers have told us we have a right to live a very pleasant and comfortable life and not tolerate subhumans like you." And then they put the phone down. People don't tolerate antisocial behavior. It's the bottom line. It's what our members of parliament have told British people to be. British people have to not tolerate antisocial behavior. People talk about antisocial behavior as if it's their right to condemn other human beings. They don't understand people have had a brain injury. It's just you're antisocial. You have no right to be classed as a human being anymore. Zero tolerance, zero tolerance. Well, why then does the government say that if I am a human being, why is there zero tolerance for people who are antisocial? Why does my MP exclude me on the grounds that I am offensive and unpleasant? Why does the Mental Capacity Act strip me of my right to get my children to come home? Why do I have to have a guardian that I find offensive and causes me to have seizures? I could equally charge my MP with being offensive and unpleasant. I could equally charge so many other people with being offensive and unpleasant, but I don't. I just try to work with them. No matter how hard it is, no matter how difficult it is that they give me seizures all the time. You've got nothing else in the end. It is so difficult. I have a 90-year-old mother to look after. It's very hard. I'm 62. She's known me all of my life. And she's just says to me all the time, you don't have to behave like that. Why don't you control your behavior? Please stop talking. I'm going to have a heart attack. Right. The brothers don't want anything to do with her. They completely, if I say the extreme things that they have done to get away from my mother, then you would just cause you. It would just sound crazy. Yeah, I do the best I can. Just have to be very tolerant, and I have to be as much in the background as I possibly can be. She asked me how to use the computer, and it causes me to have seizures. I'm trying to describe something on the screen that she's supposed to click, and instead of finding words, my finger shoots forward and it starts hitting the screen so hard I nearly break my finger. And my mother is completely offended by that. She says that's not normal behavior. I should stop it immediately. It's very upsetting for her. He does not understand it. Nobody understands it. I'm antisocial. I am wrong. I must change. Do you not understand? I am disabled. It is not acceptable by anybody. What is wrong? I can't explain it to anyone. God's sake. It is so hard to explain a neurological condition to people. It is not acceptable by anybody. Nobody tolerates antisocial behavior. Nobody. Not even me. I don't tolerate it. It's not just offensive. They are so deeply hurtful. It causes her to wish to. She says that if I keep speaking and communicating like that, she will have a heart attack. It's deeply offensive. Incredibly antisocial. Do you not understand why I'm a subhuman? If I have that kind of effect on, if my effect upon other people is so deep that they feel like they're going to have a heart attack, or that they believe that my children should be raped. It is a very, very, very severe brain injury. It makes people believe they're going to have a heart attack. It makes MPs believe that my children should be sexually abused. They would rather have security throw me out than realize they've made a mistake in Parliament. I'm just wondering at which point do I abandon my guardian? It's very hard to abandon a 2-year-old child. Well, the last time I abandoned my children, they were raped. Well, I just don't want to bring children in this world who are going to be raped again. I, a chance that my children will stop being raped. If I abandon them, find another guardian, which I don't want. I'm sick and tired of these people. I don't know what to do about this world I live in. It's just, I'm just so incompatible with it. Yeah, I think that they might just have to turn me into a complete cabbage. This is what I believe the only way to deal with it is how they deal with it in in the Soviet bloc, is that they just put people on a intravenous drip of tranquilizers and sedatives. Don't know. I've never read any Russian literature much. I've read Spanish and French and American literature, but not Russian. I might. I tried to go to Russia um, in November, but my passport was in poor condition, and I was advised when I got to Azerbaijan, not to cross the border. Back. I was trying something else. I tried some. I was trying to get a guardian from Siberia. I thought they would be more suitable because I'm a homeless person. So I thought if I found a Siberian nomad, they would be more used to living outdoors. Because when I try to communicate with social workers, they just say, "Oh, you're a homeless person. We have to put you in a dwelling." And I can't live in a dwelling. I need to be outdoors. But everything in the United Kingdom is designed to exterminate homeless people. Shelter. They just want to put you in a shelter. I don't want to be in a shelter. I need to be outdoors, even in the middle of winter when it's freezing. That's why I thought the Siberian nomad would be a better guardian. But I couldn't even get into Russia. I'm a homeless person. Even when I had a guardian who hadn't abandoned me, I rented a place for them to stay and I stayed there sometimes. But I couldn't stay there much at a time because if my behavior was too uh, offensive, unpleasant. Eventually, they made me pack up the place. They said, "We're moving." And then we stayed in a hotel for 10 days. And then they said, "I'm going somewhere, don't follow me." And that was it. And the relationship, they said, was over. So I didn't even have the home that I was previously renting for them. That was gone. I rented the home for them, not for me. Tried to live there in a domestic situation. All I ever did was sit there and watch TV. They only knew how to cook one dish. But I'm having a special wheelchair built that's that's more suitable for being homeless. It's more like an invalid carriage that can go on the bus. It's just a special design for my level of disability. It doesn't exist on the marketplace, but I've had 20 years to research what I need. It has to be roadworthy so that the police don't prosecute me. I have a number plate on it. but it also has to be able to go on the bus because I use public transport and I use roads. Because the DVLA doesn't want to put a number plate on a manual wheelchair, I therefore have to get a motor for it, which is detachable because I don't always have to have a motor, just sometimes. But so that the police don't keep prosecuting me for using my wheelchair on main roads that don't have pavements. You have to have a number plate so that they can stop harassing me, harassing me all the time. They say can't use my wheelchair here because there's no pavement. So how can I go from A to B? A bicycle can go there. You're not going to arrest a person on a bicycle, but they arrest a person in a wheelchair. Because I think a wheelchair is a little bit wider than a bicycle, a little bit lower in height. I think I've got to get one of those flashing yellow lights on a tall stick, make myself more visible. I'm in trouble with the police too many times. Yeah, or on road dustbin lorries used to have them. You can't get that from the NHS. It's ridiculous. I can't understand why the NHS is so incredibly negligent. They just think of excuses not to provide services. Tired of those people. I try to describe the situation. I know this has been a long call for you, but a council flat that I can't stay in. My son stays there, and not only it's got steps, so I can't get in and out with my wheelchair, but because of my behavioural problems, I can't register with a GP. Because I can't register with a GP, the local wheelchair service will not provide me with repairs. So I have to go to a neighbouring borough that I can't give them an address in where the council flat is. So I have to give them the address of a homeless people's place just to get my wheelchair fixed. And then they won't fix it. And there's a problem that it is impossible to work out who is employing the people to fix my wheelchair. Because everywhere I go, it seems to be a different relationship. Sometimes they say they're employed by the council. Sometimes they say they're employed by the Integrated Care Board. Sometimes they say they're employed by a hospital trust. So in Bromley, it's by Bromley Healthcare. In Croydon, it's by Croydon Council. And in Westminster, it's by the North West London Integrated Care Board. And so for me, it seems, and to try to talk when they make a decision to refuse to fix your wheelchair, it's not clear about why they can do that, because they don't share the contract with you. I can't see the contract. I don't know who the contract is signed with. I can't go to if I can't work out who signed the contract or what the contract says, if they say we're not going to fix your wheelchair, I'm just left in the dark. Why aren't patients allowed to know what's in the contract and who the contract has been signed with? You understand? Hmm, that's right. And also, all of the wheelchair repairers are owned by big corporations. I think Ross Care are owned by Mediquip, Millbrook are owned by somebody, and the AJM Healthcare are owned by somebody. And, you know, these are just people who want to make profit. And the more people they can deny medical treatment to, the bigger their profit. I don't understand why healthcare is designed in a way that means that you can't access healthcare. Why can't these people communicate with me? Because they won't communicate with me because they realize that my healthcare needs are too expensive. That's why people without mental capacity in Britain are neglected in the way that people like me are neglected, because they don't see us as viable human beings. It doesn't matter if I've got 2 or 3 university degrees, and I can even I got my master's degree after I got a brain injury. If you have no mental capacity, you're considered as worthless. They stick you on benefits and don't provide you with any proper medical care so that you can be in a decent state so that you can work, or in a decent state so that you can have a family. They don't want disabled people replicating because they're going to bring inferior specimens of human being into the British population. Yet all the time you exist as a neurological remnant experiencing this type of treatment, and it's very painful. They would be more honest to say to disabled people, you're disabled, we don't want you to have children, we're going to sterilize you. That's more honest and fair. But they shouldn't allow disabled people forming relationships so that they can have a guardian, and then in order to bond the relationship, bring extra children into the planet. Or should I say, into the British population. It's true that I can't look after this child. That's why the social workers didn't want me to have a guardian, because they knew that that was going to happen. But they didn't communicate that to me. They never communicated it to me that that's what would happen. Maybe they know but never tell you that because you're antisocial and you're offensive and unpleasant, that it would be impossible for someone like me to work with a guardian, Maybe that's why they never found me a guardian. But they don't tell me that. They don't say that to my face. They don't say to me, "You're too antisocial, offensive, and unpleasant to have a guardian." They've never communicated that to me. It would have been honest, correct, and it would have been honest, professional, and medically correct for them to do that. You can't just leave people in the dark, making mistakes, unsupported. That's what they've done. They've left me unsupported, finding my own guardian and having an absolute nightmare of a job at it. That's right. It just says to me the only way that your children can come home is if you have a guardian. That's all he says to you. And then you don't know how to get one. You go to your GP, and the GP says to you, "I'm going to remove you from my practice register because I find you too offensive and unpleasant. Go away, you antisocial person." Then you go to the next GP. He says exactly the same thing. And the next one, the same thing. And before you know it, you've gone through a list of 50 different GPs. But the bottom line is that part of the reason you go through all these GPs is because there aren't any services. You're asking for something that doesn't exist. Because nobody in their right mind wants to be the guardian for somebody who is antisocial, offensive, and unpleasant. Doesn't exist, and is ludicrous to think that a decent person, would do that. And because of that, that's the reason why I should be put to death, why I should be euthanized, because I'm a subhuman, because I'm neurologically disabled to the point that the entire society believes that I'm a waste product. Antisocial, offensive, unpleasant. And if there was a medical treatment, they'd probably put me on some kind of medication that would tranquilize and sedate me and drastically shorten my life. Because a tranquilized and sedated life would mean no exercise, and lack of exercise. What would it do? Weaken the heart? Not too sure. But I'm sure that's how the system works. Well, I appreciate you speaking with me. I've tried to explain my difficult situation. Thank you for speaking with me. There's just no resources for people who are considered to be subhuman. That's it. They think it's a waste of time, but they don't tell you about it. They don't say that to your face. They don't explain it to you. That's part of the problem. Because if they were to tell me this 35 years ago, maybe I could prepare better. If 35 years ago they said you had a frontal lobal brain injury, these are the things you're not going to be able to do. Do those things. But they don't even give you a diagnosis, nothing. They don't even care to diagnose you. You're that worthless. You're just like a neurological remnant struggling along, treading water. Life is very, very menial and meaningless if you're not a proper human being. Forever in trouble with the authorities because something about you they deem antisocial. They give you criminal records all the time, obstructing the traffic in your wheelchair or something like that. Like most of my criminal behavior is caused by mobilizing, trying to mobilize, trying to get from A to B. I have two problems. I have problem being in one place or staying with people. It's offensive. Therefore, I have to move. And then when I have to move, again, I have problems. No matter whether I stay still or whether I move, I'm having problems. The doctors say I should live in isolation, as much isolation as possible. But I'm in a wheelchair. I can't go and live in the Brecon Beacons because there's no pavements for my wheelchair. And on top of that, I get my food by begging from restaurants. There's no restaurants in a national park. I have to be in a town where I can get leftovers, people's leftovers to eat. Oh, yes. I was just saying thank you. I've taken too much of your time. Thank you for speaking with me. I'm hoping so. I'm hoping. I don't really know what to do with the information that I've gathered by speaking with you. And it will help me to make some type of progress, if there is such a thing as progress for a case like my own. Thank you again. Thank you again. Bye bye.